The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Friday, the 18th of March, 2016 are currently trading with gold $1,255.09 an ounce, silver $15.79 an ounce, Texas crude $40.20 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 409 U.S. currency. Today in history, the year 1314, Jacques de Molay, the 23rd and last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, is burned at the stake at a scaffold in front of Notre Dame by decree of the cardinals and in conjunction with the Archbishop of Sens and some other prelates who were called in. Templar Grand Masters de Molay and Charnay were slowly burned to death for refusing to recant their heretical beliefs. Today in history. In recent news, Salah Abdeslam, Europe's most wanted man for being suspected of physically partaking in the Paris Islamic State shootings November of last year, was captured today after a shootout in Brussels. This capture finally giving investigators the first suspected active participant to be taken alive. Prosecutors said a second wanted man, who used the false name of Amin Chakouri, was also wounded and captured in the raid. Luckily, French President François Hollande was visiting Brussels for a European summit and was able to personally conduct a joint news conference with the Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel, where he said that France would request very soon the extradition of Salah Abdeslam. Security services will obviously be seeking information on the Islamic State plans and structures, his contacts in Europe and in Syria, and looking into his support and financial networks. Police did obtain Abdesam's fingerprints as well as fake Syrian and Belgian identity documents. Radar scans of King Tut's burial chamber have revealed two hidden compartments. Yesterday, at a Cairo news conference, Egyptian Antiquities Minister Mamdouh Al-Damadi declined to comment on whether any royal treasure or more mummies might be inside of the rooms, but did state that the unexplored chambers could hold some kind of organic or metal objects. He also showed the results of the radar scans that revealed anomalies in the walls of the tomb, indicating a possible hidden door and rooms behind false walls that were covered up and painted over with hieroglyphics. The radar scans of the chamber taken last year and analyzed in Japan are set to be repeated at the end of the month for verification. The Lone Star Lowdown is currently looking to fill some ad slots. If you have a product or a service that you would like to advertise with us, feel free to give me a call at 210-363-2257. This has been Rick Rohde with your Lowdown for March 18th, 2016.
All you schmohawks out there, you're listening to the Voice of Reason radio show here on the Logos Radio Network and locally in Austin at 89.1 FM. It's a gorgeous day, March 19th in Austin, Texas. And don't move here, folks. It's too damn crowded. And we have just been experiencing the most crowded thing that ever happens in Austin, and that is the South by Southwest festivals. It's massive. It shuts down all of downtown. You get to see really cool things. You know, go take pictures on the Game of Thrones throne. It's just a great thing for Austin, but it's crowded, and I'm tired of sitting in traffic sucking on tailpipes. My name is Ben Farmer. This is the official radio show of the Libertarian Party of Texas. To find out more about the Libertarian Party of Texas, go to lptexas.org and tickle that donate button. Tickle that get involved button and get involved. We are deep in the cockles of convention season here in the Libertarian Party of Texas. We've just finished our precinct conventions. We finished our county conventions last week, and today we completed our district conventions, which means we've only got one convention left in the state party, folks, and that is the state convention, which will be April 8th through 10th in beautiful San Antonio, Texas, at the Norris Conference Center. To find out more about the state convention, do not hesitate to go over to libertynow.org. A lot of fun things today, folks. The first thing we're going to talk to is, first gentleman we're going to talk to today is John Wilford. He's currently the state treasurer of the Libertarian Party of Texas, and he has thrown his lovely hat into the ring to become our next state chair of the Libertarian Party of Texas. John, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually out here at my own district convention. We just finished up, and I am had to break away to do this, so it's been very busy lately.
Oh, that's great, John. And I wonder if you've seen the kind of growth that we've seen over kind of in the I-35 corridor. In Travis County, for instance, in the 2014 election cycle, I think we did 31 delegates to the county convention. This year we posted 77, or maybe 79. I think we more than doubled. I wonder, are you seeing that as a trend all across the state?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, out in the more rural counties where I am, we haven't seen, I'm going to say, the same percentage of growth, but we've definitely seen some influx. And the thing that's really spoke to me is I've had personal friends who've been liberty-leaning who have sworn that they're not going to jump party lines. And here with this, I'm going to blame the latest crazy candidates. But with those coming in, they have absolutely said, all right, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. And I think most of us who have been involved in the Libertarian Party for a few years is we hit that point, long ago and came over to the LP. I wonder why it's taken so many people so long to get to this point of craziness in candidates. Of course, we're talking about the old party candidates here, the broken party candidates. Is there just a different mindset amongst libertarians, or is now really just kind of the libertarian moment, do you think?
Well, I think the whole thing, I don't believe in these hard, I'm going to call them digitals, but these hard lines where people switch over. I think everything is a scale, is an analog. And, I think this exact thing was written about back in the Declaration of Independence when they said, you don't cast off government for light and transient reasons. And I think, different people are willing to cast off the old parties at different levels based on their own personal experience in lives. And I think there's some other people who need a little bit more reason. And you know what? It was the old party's race to lose, and they are definitely working at it. And they're giving those reasons to people to cast off the bonds of the old system.
Why do you think people are flooding even into the Libertarian Party as opposed to other third parties?
Well, if we look at voting trends in the past, the Democratic Party has very much had a base that they had to work with, where the Republicans haven't. They've mostly relied on swing voters. Now, with the new crazy candidates that the Democrats are leaving and the Republicans are watching out, and they're looking to options. Now, you have to consider who these people are. These are people who, in the past, have not wanted to switch to a third party, and it's taken this level of craziness for them to come over. And when they look at the list, they say, you know what, the Libertarians are the only one who have ballot access. In some states, the Greens do, but not to the level we do. And I think to the other side of things, many of them agree with us. They're ready to stop seeing these crazy levels of taxation, of regulation on things. But they had that one issue, whether they were a social voter or whether they were an economic voter. And they look at us and they say, you know what, I don't find myself largely disagreeing with that party, and they have ballot access.
Yeah, let's talk about the ballot access, too, because we have ballot access in all 50 states. Isn't that correct?
Yes, we have. Well, I'm going to be a little more technical here. We have projected ballot access in all 50 states. There are a few states, and in my understanding, in which the fight is still going, but it's a very small number, and the petitions are coming along really nicely. We obviously can't speak until the fat lady sings on that one. We need to finalize those signatures, but there's no expectation that we won't. We are expected to have ballot access in all 50 states.
And the reason we are projecting 50 is because there's really been one state that's always been a massive holdout, and that state is Oklahoma. And we won ballot access in that state this year. In Texas, we typically don't have to worry about this issue, although there's caveats involved with that. But we haven't had to worry about this for at least a decade or so, because we get enough votes in the elections in order to qualify for ballot access every election. In other states, they do ballot access differently, where you have to fill out petitions, you have to get so many signatures in order to get on the ballot, and we almost always do. And in fact, in 2012, the last presidential election, we were on 49 out of the 50 states. The one holdout, again, Oklahoma, but will be on the ballot in Oklahoma this time around. So that's why we're saying, it's all 50 this year. We're projecting, and that's great. So when people go, hey, I don't want to vote for Hillary, but I got to vote for Trump because no one else has a chance, I say, well, that's hogwash, because there's going to be a liberty candidate on your ballot, not just for president, all the way up and down the ballot. In this state, it is most important to vote for the Libertarian for Railroad Commission. That's Dr. Mark Miller. He's going to be our top of the ticket candidate, and we will have him on the radio show in the weeks and months to come. But John, you're doing something this year, and you're also running for an actual elected office, but you're doing something else this year, which is you're running for the state chair of the Libertarian Party of Texas. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm really coming at this with a 3-point plan. I want to take our action, as have many expressed this term, take our party from a philosophy party to a much more action-oriented party. And I have a few plans to do that with I'm bringing in, we've already developed what's called the org chart. And I'm probably speaking to only the libertarians out there when I talk about the org chart, but they all know what I'm talking about. It's a volunteer structure. And my plan is to kind of take this thing to the next level. So we'll be taking kind of our ideas and really putting them more to action within this next term. And I expect to see a lot of great things out of it, like we've seen this last term. So I guess to close it out, yes, I am running, and I expect this to be a great term for us. We have a little bit of fight on ballot access next term, but like you said, Mark Miller is going to be the key to that one, and we're going to seal the deal.
Yeah, so I guess I do want to kind of fill in listeners too who probably aren't familiar with what the org chart is that you're speaking about. In years past, the Libertarian Party was basically handled by the state chair, who for many years was Pat Dixon, and then our membership coordinator, who was for many years Heather Fazio, and they just kind of handled most of the day-to-day business. They would kind of push out special projects to volunteers from time to time, and that's how it operated. And they did a lot of hard work, and I'm amazed constantly at how much work they were able to do using that kind of a structure. But when we got elected, that's Kurt Hildebrand as chair, me as vice chair, and John as treasurer, we all met together in San Antonio a few months after that election and came up with a strategic plan. And the strategic plan we put together was an actual organizational chart, and we built it out. So not only were there chair, vice chair, treasurer, but there were department heads. Hey, we have a director of operations. We have a director of marketing and PR and political action and all these things. And we then went and recruited people to fill those positions and then fill out their departments. We also built job descriptions around each of these positions so that we could tell people specifically, this is what you're responsible for, and this is what you can measure your success against. And when you are able to do that, it just provides people with direction. It provides people with motivation, and it provides people with accountability, which in many cases was not around when you're just begging people to do things in a more tangent way like that. So we found a lot of success. I think we've had as many as, John, you might know this number. I think we've had as many as 37 people filling out, or as many as 37 of these positions filled, probably only about 28 or 29 people at any one time. And as a result, we've been able to do things that we've never been able to do before, like launch an actual lobbying effort at the Capitol building. That was majorly huge for us. We were able to block a lot of legislation. We were able to create coalition partners who we pinned legislation. We went out and found people who would help us lobby for these things. And we saw a lot of success in that sort of thing. We would like to expand on that. And I think, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but the direct political action is exactly the kind of expansion of doing things that you're talking about in a John Wilford administration. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, that's definitely a piece of it. I don't want to kind of narrow it down and simplify it to just political action. I think there's a lot of administrative stuff that, we probably don't need to get too deep into in this call because, as I said, it is administrative. That needs to go on as far as scheduling and providing support for the people doing action, including political action. But yeah, expanding that political action is huge. I mean, what does it matter if how many people got elected this year? The idea is how much freedom can you produce this year? And I know that's a really intangible thing to kind of measure yourself against. But at the end of the day, can we get freedom bills out there? Can we get, Simpson bills out there? Can we get,
right.
There are plenty of liberty people in the House and Senate, and let's get some freedom going. Let's
and I want to talk more about what kind of freedom we can build in the next couple of years. Right after this break, we're talking to John Wilford, folks. He's the state treasurer of the Libertarian Party of Texas. He's running for state chair. To find out more about LP Texas, go to lptexas.org. We'll catch you right after this break.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
Whoa, amber is the color of your energy. Whoa, shades of gold displayed naturally. You want to know what brings me here? Glide through my headline to fear, and I know why. Whoa, amber is the color of your energy.
Hey, Hey, all you folks out there in radio listening land, you're listening to the Voice of Reason radio show here on the Logos Radio Network. And locally here in Austin, Texas at 89.1 FM. It's beautiful outside. It's lovely. And don't move here because there's too many people already.
Unless you're a libertarian.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But, you can send us money and live in San Antonio or something. This is the official radio show of the Libertarian Party of Texas. To get involved, go to lptexas.org. Or if you want to get involved with the state convention, go to libertynow.org. Buy tickets. We are running low on tickets at this point. The thing is going to sell out not a couple of times over. It's going to sell out plus some. On the phone with us today, we've got John Wilford. He is the treasurer of the Libertarian Party of Texas and has thrown his hat into the ring to become the next state chair of the Libertarian Party of Texas. And what we were talking about, John, right before the break was creating a free society within our lifetime. And it's a wonderful thought to think, I can ignore the government as much as I want to and be free in all those ways. And you can. But there are a lot of ways that ignoring them, they're still going to come after you. I'm wondering what it is that you think the Libertarian Party of Texas will be able to do over the next couple of years to expand the amount of liberty on just everyday human beings.
Well, I think the thing that we really need to focus on first is the way that we talk about balloting. And, I think a lot of people don't necessarily look at balloting as a freedom issue, but I look at it as a huge freedom issue. It's the way you express yourself and express yourself to the government. And whenever we have these measures that are clearly meant, you can word them however you want. You can say it's for the good of this and that. But when you look at the logic of it, they're clearly meant to block people's voice and to make people less able to have a representative and expressive and free government. It doesn't matter what else you do because there will be some measure to block it, whether they're taking people's voice away locally at the county level or all the way up at the state level. We often see that. So I think the first thing we need to clear up is we need to get a clear method for people to readily express themselves in whatever way they want to their representative and to their government in an effective manner.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's kind of the entire point of when we go with what is the strategy of a libertarian party, or what's the point of voting for a libertarian? Shouldn't you just be voting for the lesser of two evils in the old parties? And we say, no, absolutely not. Vote for who you want to represent you. All right. If you're voting for the lesser of two evils, or if you're not voting, I think you are implicitly giving your consent to the lesser of two evils, or to the structure of the powers that be. Voting libertarian is an explicit way to use your voice and say, I'm not for that thing that they're trying to do to us. John Bush, you had something you wanted to add to the conversation a minute ago.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming on, John.
Cool show you got here.
Yeah.
I often hear that espoused by the Libertarian Party that some of the victories they have, the political victories, are we fought off a bill that would have limited our ability to get on the ballot, or we ran X number of candidates and some of them got X percentage, which is a greater percentage than before. This is true. It's not a percentage that's necessary to win. And for me, political victories for a libertarian, if your goal is a more free life, a more free society, have to do with concrete reductions in the size and scope of government and the intervention of government in your lives. And even though those victories are present, I feel like they're not actually furthering a more free society. And in some cases, they are simply creating an environment where the Libertarian Party as an institution, where it started off as a means to the end of a free society, has become an end in itself, whereby we need to maintain the institution. We need to maintain ballot access. We've got to get at least 5%. So I would argue that constantly being in this reactionary mode where we have to maintain ballot access just for the sake of continuing on and giving people an alternative vote, we could not, I mean, that's important to maintain the party and eventually get people elected, but people aren't getting elected at the moment.
Sure.
So I would want to see if y'all are to continue to run races, which of course is going to happen, focus on districts, state house, state rep, state senate, where the Libertarian Party can run and they can run against the incumbent and hammer home the incumbent, try to get a wedge, empower the opponent, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, and then maybe get 5, 10, 15% that you take away from them. Now you're all of a sudden the kingmaker. You take that to the lobbying, the legislative session, and they're like, oh man, they unseated this chair of this committee or whatever. Then you can have those political victories. Maybe it'll be more likely to get elected if people see all these crazy things happening.
Sure. No, and that's the entire idea behind it all, is it really is a stair-step method, because we're constantly fighting this. Well, I would vote for you, but you guys don't have any money. I would give you money, but you're not going to get elected. I mean, it really is. Everything has to be running in tandem together. So let me just kind of give you a high flyover of what stair-stepping progress looks like, not just in the Libertarian Party, but any political party. At 5%, that's going to get you ballot access, 5% vote. 10%, that's 800,000 votes across the state. That's serious media and public attention at 10% of the vote. You start getting serious media attention. At 15%, you're kind of a kingmaker at that point. People are trying to co-opt you and ask for your opinion about things and forwarding legislation that you're looking towards. 20% would make the Libertarian Party eligible to be a primary party, which we may or may not take. We've had that option in the past, and we didn't take it. There are pros and cons. That's kind of an argument for another day. At 25%, the Libertarian Party would be the second largest party in Texas, if you consider that. I mean, that 25%, that's all it has to be to take out the Democrats in most places across Texas. A 30% vote would have us win statewide offices like the Railroad Commission, offices that, are in three-way races. So we're really not that far off. But you're right, it is a stair-step approach to finding victories here and there to say, no, listen, we are becoming more and more viable. And I think you're right. Like, we haven't been able to just wield legislation at our will, but there comes a tipping point. It's a lot of hard work to get to that tipping point, and that's what we've been working towards. And I think, John Wilford, you might agree, that tipping point is coming sooner rather than later.
It is, I do kind of want to, I don't know if disagree is the right word. I think it was just some omitted information with kind of the stair step you approach, because I think you started where we are, and there's a lot of stairs we've already climbed. I mean, and to John Bush's point, I think he can speak to this in just a moment. We've had a lot of victories at the local level, including a measure to remove fluoride, and I'm going to say it's in San Antonio, but
San Marcos. It was San Marcos.
San Marcos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you look at the local stuff, we have climbed a lot of steps. I mean, it is not a measure of we're at step 1 and we're trying to get to step 2. It's a measure of we're at step 100 and we're just trying to get to 101. And so you look at that and you really can see that we're making progress. We're making a step. And then the other thing I want to look at is whenever you look at balloting and voting, there's a snowballing effect. Each step makes you climb faster. So to your point about a tipping point, I think we are absolutely coming upon a tipping point. And you're going to see an avalanche of liberty measures, whether it be local or state or even federal, where things may not have the Libertarian Party name attached to them, but you can hear our voice all the way through them.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the thing, getting fluoride out of the water, I mean, we partnered with a lot of organizations to do that. I can't even claim that we were the spearhead on that one, but we definitely did our part and helped out. But working with groups like Texans for Accountable Government, for instance, that's one of the best groups we work with. But historically, it had been pretty much the only group we worked with. And what we changed this time around in the ledge session is we looked out for building coalitions with other groups that, may or may not agree with us on all things, but we can go, but this piece of legislation we all dislike, so let's form a group. And then when we walk into our state senator's office, we're not saying, hey, I'm a part of the Libertarian Party. We're saying I'm a part of the Texas Anti-Corruption Campaign. And they go, ooh,
nice name.
Yeah, what is that all about? So that is kind of it. It's not just about politics. It's about politicking. And that's something that libertarians historically have been really bad about. John Wilford, you've got about 10 seconds left. Do you want to tell people where they can go to look at your stuff?
I don't really have a website up, but if you reach out to me on Facebook, you can definitely find me, John Wilford, or you can give me a call. I'll give you my number right now, 903-372-6931. I'll talk to you about whatever you want to talk to me.
Oh, you are a brave man sending that number to all these schmohawks out here. You're listening to the Voice of Reason radio show here on the Logos Radio Network. We'll be back with Brett Pojunas, who is running for the national chair of the Libertarian Party.
Smart meters are a dumb idea. Not only do they cost consumers billions of dollars, they're a looming public health hazard. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll be back to tell you why you should fight installation of smart meters in your neighborhood.
Your search engine is watching you, recording all your searches and creating a massive database of your personal information. That's creepy, but it doesn't have to be that way. Startpage.com is the world's most private search engine. Startpage doesn't store your IP address, make a record of your searches, or use tracking cookies, and they're third-party certified. If you don't like Big Brother spying on you, start over with Startpage. Great search results and total privacy. Startpage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Utility companies are promoting new smart meters as a way to save money and energy, but replacing old meters comes at a steep price. We consumers will end up footing the multi-billion-dollar cost and suffer the health fallout. Smart meters use electromagnetic radiation to report a home's electric consumption to the power company. The meters beam several signals per minute and emit 2 to 3 times the radiation of a cell phone. It doesn't take an electrical engineer to understand the threat posed by round-the-clock exposure to radio waves beaming into our homes. Join the fight against this costly radiation invasion. Visit StopSmartMeters.org to find out how. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht. More news and information at CatherineAlbrecht.com.
You're listening to the Logos Radio Network at logosradionetwork.com.
Looking for my place on assembly lines, fake prizes rising out of the bomb holes. Skeleton boys hide up in purple, smoke rings blow from across the disco. Banknotes burn like broken equipment. Looking for shelter, readjust your position. Drop control, those written confessions. 2 dimensions, dumb your head down. Duck, don't look now, company missiles. Power is raunchy, man, the cops are watching. Make your dreams out of paper mache. Cliche, wasted, hate, taste, test. Hell yes, not moving this way, I'm doing this thing.
Please enjoy.
Hell yes.
Welcome back to the Voice of Reason radio show here on the Logos Radio Network and locally in Austin at 89.1 FM. I'm Ben Farmer. I'm currently the vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Texas and director of the PR department. This is the official show of the Libertarian Party of Texas. To get more involved with LP Texas, go to lptexas.org and tickle that donate button. We've also got our state convention coming up very soon. To get more info about that, go to libertynow.org. We're going to do something very cool at our state convention. We're going to have a presidential debate that will be hosted live. I've even partnered with a group called Signal Labs who will be able to look at the internet and tell in real time what people are talking about on the internet with regard to that presidential debate. So we'll be able to get real time statistics from all across the world. I'm super looking forward to it, and I'm super looking forward to the national convention where I'll be meeting up with my buddy here, Mr. Brett Pojunas. He's the state chair for the Libertarian Party of Nevada, and he has thrown his hat into the ring as to become our next national chair of the Libertarian Party. Brett, say hello.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
We're doing great. It's beautiful down here in Austin, Texas. We've just been dealing with the massive scourge/influx of money known as South by Southwest.
Sure.
And I haven't had a full night's sleep in about 3 weeks, and I got one last night. So I'm all full of piss and vinegar at this point.
Now, that makes one of us, buddy. We had our filing deadline on Friday, so the last couple of weeks have been crazy for all of our candidates.
So what does that mean? So your filing deadline is to run for what? All the statewide elections?
Actually, every election in Nevada. So it started on March 7th, and then it goes to March 18th, and that's when people file. So, we've been working hard, blocking and tackling with the Democrats and Republicans, and I'll tell you what, we did a pretty damn good job. We've got 3 two-way races that we really wanted, and hopefully we'll have a 4th. So
that's great. I've always been very, very impressed with the work that you guys have been able to do out in Nevada. In fact, Nevada boasts the highest elected libertarian in the entire country right now. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, we have the only state legislator, Assemblyman John Moore. So we're really, really thrilled that he came on board with us. And, that's a testament to our team and all the work that we've been doing. I mean, we've basically created a viable option now, not just for voters, but for lawmakers. So we're pretty excited.
Yeah, that is very exciting. And anytime I hear people say, well, how are ways that the Libertarian Party can get elected? I said, well, throughout history, there are 3 ways. Number 1 is violent revolution. Don't do that. Number 2 is you just work really hard and get people elected. And number 3 is how the Republican Party came about, which is some people who are already elected flip parties. So that's right. And that is a brilliant strategy. Hey, I want to bring somebody in real quick. Brett, he has the show right before here. He wanted to say hello to you real quick.
Sure.
Hey, Brett, what's up? Ryan Metzel, and out here in Austin, Texas. I remember originally meeting you and I think Remus in Las Vegas there quite a while back.
Time. We don't talk about that, buddy. That was back when I was in nightlife and used to own nightclubs. How you doing?
I'm right there with you. So from there, actually, I ended up in Miami for a few years and now here in Austin, Texas, where I think everyone eventually may get here. But I just want to congratulate you on, running for your new position there and just all the stuff you've done for the Libertarian Party. It's very uplifting and, good to see some more honesty coming in from different angles than just, the right-left paradigm that keeps getting offered and gets us nowhere.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. Hit me up offline. I'd love to catch up with you, man. It's been a long, long time.
Absolutely. Definitely will do. So, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and I'll definitely be in touch.
Ryan, tell the listeners about your show that you have.
Oh, yeah, right before this it's called Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. So we don't get too much into the politics. Once in a while we get angles there. We did have the guys who were in charge of poker in Texas. So, we would love to see poker legalized here in Texas, sure. Become part of the libertarian platform, obviously.
Sure.
But we talk a lot about health and nutrition and stuff like acupuncture, Chinese medicine, just things that you can do to get healthy. So obviously to participate correctly in politics, you need to be at that level of health. And I think we're seeing now a lot of these politicians that are running on both sides don't seem to be healthy. Who knows when, some of these people are just going to pass out and, go away because their health isn't there. I don't see Hillary Clinton as someone I want to look like when I get to that age. And I can say that for almost all the rest of these politicians. Like, they don't look like the model of health.
Sure. You want to have mastery of your philosophy, mastery of your mind, and mastery of your body as well. It's become a bigger and bigger part of the entire liberty movement over the last couple of years.
Yeah, there's a mind-body connection. So what you're reflecting outside has a lot to say about what was going on inside your mind. So I would really love to see more of these candidates, talk more about health and fitness instead of just accepting all these, bribes from Monsanto to keep pushing GMO foods. And honestly, my idea is, I think the presidents, whoever is going to eventually be president, they need to get in a cage and fight. So even when Roger Stone was here, I asked him, who wins in a fight between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton? But why not? If you're going to be in charge of, the free world as part of the U.S., I want to see, can you take a punch? Like, what happens if you're getting choked out from behind? Obviously, Brett, you there in Vegas understand there's a lot of fight game there, and a great fight recently. My good friend Nate Diaz just, did an awesome show over Conor McGregor. But let's see what these guys can do athletically, because it says a lot about them as a person.
Well, sure. And Brett,
I got to plug it. Go ahead now. So in Orlando, during our national convention on that Friday, May 27th, we actually have an event we put together called America Fight Night. And
awesome.
we have Ron, the American Dream Johnson, the undisputed light heavyweight champion, is getting back into boxing. He's taken about a 4-year hiatus, and we got to do 2 smaller events so that he can get back in the ring, and then he's going to go back for all of his titles again, which he'll ultimately get. But yeah, we intend on being down in San Antonio for the Texas State Convention, and Ron's going to be down there with me. We're going to be promoting the event. It's going to be a lot of fun, very different, very unique. So,
that's great.
Awesome,
yeah, I've always been a fan of his, and I'm glad I get to find. I know that I'm in a coalition with him right now, and I've never got to meet him before. Ryan, thanks very much, man.
Yeah, appreciate having me on here. I definitely, would love to be on again sometime. But yeah, Brett, I'll hit you up. I think we're still friends on Facebook, so I'll send you a message there. And just keep it rolling, keep doing what you're doing. Love it, guys.
Awesome.
Please do. I'll be down in San Antonio. Well, when am I going to be down there, Ben?
April 8th. Yeah, April 8th through 10th is the state convention. So yeah, you'll be right in this neck of the woods.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, that is Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior.
Yes, that's correct.
And that is from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock here locally in Austin, Texas. That is Central Standard Time here on the Logos Radio Network and 89.1 FM locally in Austin. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
For a week now, Ryan's been telling me, hey, I know Brett from back in the day, so I thought that was fun.
That was great.
So we've got about 2.5 minutes here, and we've also got another segment afterwards. I'm going to keep you on for both segments if you got the time, Brett.
Sure.
But let's go ahead and start getting into your candidacy for the national chair. You ran for national chair last time around, but I think this time around you've got a much stronger bid and a much stronger coalition. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, you were there for that. I mean, basically, here's what happened. The reason I did that, I probably shouldn't even tell anyone, but the reason I did that is we had a big event that happened in Nevada in November 2013. We got all brand new leadership. We started turning the party around. But by the time we got to Columbus in 2014, the honeymoon was kind of over. So I needed to do something to let the people in Nevada know that we have to get serious again. And they've always been dissatisfied with how the National Party is and what they've done, or the lack of what they've done, I should say. All the messaging that comes out. So the reason I ran for national chair was basically and you know this, you were standing next to me when we made this decision. 45 minutes before the debate, I said, screw it, let's go. And the real reason I did that was to get people in Nevada realizing that not only are we having to fight against the Republicans and the Democrats, we also have to fight against our national party for all the nonsensical things that they do. And when that happened, it worked. I mean, I came home, these guys were enthused, and we haven't stopped since. So it was probably one of the smarter moves I've done. I was not running to win. I was running to prove a point in Nevada. Now, this time around is very, very different. We have a tremendous amount of delegates already on board. As you know, we've got the Libertarian Millennial Caucus, the LMC. They're all going to be supporting me, which is great. We've worked pretty hard, and I think the biggest difference is when I served 2 terms on the Libertarian National Committee, it was crazy, Ben. I mean, all the ideas that I had, they basically just knocked them down. And I put a lot of time and effort into putting these ideas together, not just making a random motion, but basically putting a full business plan together, establishing what the return on investment will be, so on and so forth. And they just
Brett, I want to get more into the things that go on in the Libertarian National Committee when we come back from this next break. We're speaking with Brett Pojunas, the state chair of the Libertarian Party of Nevada, and he is running for national chair of the Libertarian Party. You're listening to the Voice of Reason radio show on the Logos Radio Network. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
This time of year is bad. We are so very sorry. There is little we can do but swat them. She didn't beg, or not enough. She didn't stay when things.
Oh, welcome back to the Voice of Reason radio show here on the Logos Radio Network and locally in Austin, Texas at 89.1 FM. We are all over the place, however. In fact, half of our hosts from the show prior to this one are in Australia. So you can find us all over the world at logosradionetwork.com. This is the official radio show of the Libertarian Party of Texas. You can find more out about the Libertarian Party of Texas by going to lptexas.org, and especially our state convention, which is coming up April 8th through 10th in lovely San Antonio, Texas. You go to libertynow.org, because that's what we're all about, isn't it? We want liberty now, and it is kind of a long game that it tends to have to happen, but we want liberty now. So we are taking those steps. And one of those steps is being taken by this gentleman on the line with me right now. It's Brett Pojunas. He's the state chair of the Libertarian Party of Nevada. He is also running for national chair of the Libertarian National Committee. Brett, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate you having me on.
No, it's the pleasure's all mine, believe me. So you did a couple of terms on the LNC, or the Libertarian National Committee. Can you kind of describe what the Libertarian National Committee is for people who are unaware of it, kind of what their function is, and how they fall short of fulfilling that role?
Yeah, so basically each major political party has a national committee. The Republicans have the Republican National Committee, the Democrats have the Democratic National Committee, and we have the Libertarian National Committee. Although our board is very different than their boards, but we have about 18 members that can go up or down depending on how many regions we have set up. But let's just say we have about 17, 18 people pretty consistently. And it's their job to basically, govern the party in between conventions, right? Because we're a membership organization, therefore the members actually control the organization, and we kind of hold down the fort. But I've got a little different idea than what we've been doing. Yes, we're supposed to hold down the fort, but we also should be doing a lot more in the national level. I mean, did you see our Super Bowl commercial we did last year for the Libertarian Party?
I must have missed it.
Yep. Did you see any ads in any major magazines?
I must have missed them.
See any commercials just in general?
Nope, nothing.
How often do you see a libertarian on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC?
I would say almost never.
Almost never. That's the problem. The issue right now that we have are people get their content many different ways. They get their media or their news content mostly from major political news, and we're never there. And I don't think it's because they don't want us there. Some of you might argue that, but the reality is we don't even tell people that we're there. I mean, we don't have a public relations firm that we pay, let's call it $7,500, $10,000 a month to ensure that we have everyone from our speakers bureau representing the Libertarian Party. We need to have experts out there on specific issues, and we need just general spokesmen and spokeswomen for the party. When we can start doing stuff like that, then everyone will hear the word Libertarian. They'll see our logo. They'll listen to our message, and then they'll start taking us serious. But we're a small state out here in Nevada. We've done a lot of great things. But each month, when we get something called the National Data Dump, whereas all the leads that come in from the national website are people that call in, we get all those new leads. And each month, I get 2, 3, 4 people. That's it. That's a problem. Imagine what you guys could do if you got. I mean, Texas is a big, big state. Let's just say you guys got 400 new leads that came in from national every month.
Which we don't. I guarantee you, it's about 10 or 12.
But what would you do if you got 400 every month?
And we could create an entire department that did nothing but contact those people and try to activate them.
Exactly. So we're having to do our own lead generation. And in Nevada, quite frankly, we're doing just fine. We have 235 volunteers. Think about that for a second.
Wow.
And we're a small state. You guys are 10 times the size population-wise of Nevada.
Right.
So we're doing that. But as far as the national committee is concerned, they're afraid of their own shadow. All they care about is, and they've got the typical political complex. They're afraid of doing anything that could potentially hurt them from getting reelected. When I was elected chairman of the Libertarian Party of Nevada, I was completely fine with the idea that I might only be a one-term chair because I'm going to try things. I'm going to fail. And anyone who's in technology, that saying fail faster. The concept behind that is you got to try a lot of things. Some things will work, some things won't. We've been very, very fortunate to have a lot of things work out where even the stuff that did work out. It just didn't work out as well as we wanted it to. But we need to have a board that's willing to try things. I mean, desperate times calls for desperate measures. And right now we're at war as far as I'm concerned. The Republicans and Democrats, they're going to be putting out Hillary most likely and Trump. And those are the options that we're going to give the American voters. That's crazy. Right now is probably one of the single biggest opportunities that we have to not only get a good showing in the general election, but the whole down ticket. And if we play our cards right, there's going to be so many unsatisfied voters, and there's going to be so many people that are just upset with the system in general. We have to be prepared. We have to be ready to capture them. And if we do, guess what? Our numbers are going to just swell by November.
Yeah, and we've already seen it. You've probably seen it in Nevada as well, but we started our convention process a week and a half ago at the precinct conventions, and we're recording record numbers just across the board. Some counties are recording, triple and quadruple the amount of delegates that were coming in 2014. Has that been the case in Nevada as well?
Well, I mean, not specifically for our convention, because we don't use our convention as a metric at all to establish whether or not we're doing well. Most states do, and I think that's an issue because there's 364 days for the rest of the year that you need to be doing things, not 1 day or 2 days. And I'm not putting Texas down because I know you guys are doing a ton of stuff and you feel the way we feel. There's a million things to do. I mean, this week we have we have an average of 14 events each month here in Nevada because we have all these caucuses and coalitions, and they all have a monthly event. I mean, like today in about 3 hours, we have an open house, or 2 hours, we have an open house at the office, and that's for all the new people that we've met in the last 2 weeks. We invite them down, everyone that's filled out our website, called in, or any new people, and we tell them about the party. But yeah, I mean, I think we're certainly seeing it here in Nevada. We're a swing state. I mean, you guys are a Republican state, but we've had the presidential candidates out here, all the hopefuls, going crazy, going back almost a year, almost a full year. So we always get that though during this time of the election cycle. So I think that because we have so many presidential hopefuls, it's always on the mind of Nevadans. So, but they feel horrible about it. I mean, the Republicans really screwed up in 2015. We have a Republican governor, a Republican-controlled Senate and House. Well, you guys call it the House. We call it the Assembly. And they pushed through the largest tax hike in the history of Nevada. The largest tax hike with all Republicans in charge. And the Democrats were like, Christ, we couldn't even do that. But anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of people that are disenfranchised right now. They introduced something called the Commerce Tax. The Commerce Tax is 2% of your gross revenues above and beyond everything else that they're already paying. So business owners are upset. And yeah, I mean, the Nevada government, they're governing themselves out of power. So,
well, let me ask you this, Brett. What would National Chair Brett Pojunas D-Day +1 look like the day after election?
I will be sleeping.
Fair enough. So maybe +2.
Yeah, well, I've got 27 campaign events scheduled right now between now and the national convention. That's all over the country. I'm taking this very seriously, and all that will be on my website, Pojunas.com, that I officially launched on Monday. But basically, what we would do is I'm going to take a couple days off because we're going to need it, and we're going to get the whole team established and put together. And I don't care if it's DC, Texas, wherever, it doesn't matter. But I want us to be in person for about 2 or 3 days. And here's the deal: I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm trying to be smart, and I'm trying to work under the idea that we will get elected. And we're putting everything in motion right now. So even if we don't get elected, we can pass it off to whomever is elected, although I don't think that they would use it. But we need to get we want to start with our branding and our marketing, our online presence, and our data. That's the absolute first starting point. I mean, our data here in Nevada is phenomenal. We have over 750,000 records of Nevadans. They're cleansed, they're pendant. What that means is we have good information for them. And what we need to do, no matter what the cost is, we'll go out and raise it because I'm trying to get all the proposals in now. But we need to get basically the entire voter record for the entire country. And we need to get that cleansed. We need to find phone numbers for everybody. And then the national party should send that down to the states, not the horrible data that we get now.
That is bad.
And you think of the disservice that the national party is doing for us, Ben. You got a county affiliate that they start. They open up a free MailChimp account. They hit send and they get blacklisted. If they can even upload the data to begin with. So yeah, I do intend on moving us to a different platform. What we're working on right now is archaic. It's not good, and no one uses it. And we're working closely with the folks from Texas. Actually, Nevada and Texas has really teamed up on a lot of this stuff. But yeah, we got to get our website together. We got to get data together, and most importantly, we got to support our presidential candidate. That's really the main focus and function of the national party until the end of the election. So all of our federal candidates, but specifically our presidential candidate, we can't do what we've done in the past, where we fight with our presidential candidate. Whoever the delegates choose is who they select. That's fine. I don't care. But we got to get behind them. We can't fight with them. So those would be the first couple of things, and then bringing on a public relations firm and making sure that we can get libertarians on TV. I mean, that's earned media, and that will go so much farther than anything else that we can do. And then after the election, post-November, we're not going to take our foot off the pedal. We're going to keep going harder and harder. I want to start building out all the institutional knowledge so that we can give every single state like a handbook, if you will, or a how-to guide on everything. Now, whether they use it, I don't care. It's voluntary, right? We're not saying you have to do this, but I would love, when I was a new chair, I would love a handbook. And I always joke about it. I always say, I never got the magical state chair handbook. We've had to call a lot of audibles and make things up as we go along. But it would have been so nice to just have that information. And that's what we want to do. Because, I mean, post-November, our job is strengthening the affiliates. Our job is getting libertarians trained. Our job is making sure that we are an effective party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is something that really has just not quite been done before. Some trainings have been attempted, some data has been attempted, but never really successfully. It's all been kind of limited to third-class status, I would say. And I think the Brett Pojunas administration is indeed interested in making us a first-class organization.
Well, and I'll tell you one more thing, Ben. It's kind of a rhetorical question, but what do you think the National Party does in regards to lobbying at the federal level?
They do nothing. They do nothing. And in fact, that to me is the biggest thing we can do right now. Brett, I do want to thank you. We've only got 20 seconds left, so go to is it Pojunas.com?
Yeah, POJUNIS.com. You'll see our announcement video. The site's not done. It'll be up on Monday.
All right. You've been listening to the Voice of Reason radio show here on the Logos Radio Network. And go to lptexas.org to get involved. I've been Ben Farmer, and next week I'll be Ben Farmer.